Hello and welcome to NJBIZ Conversations. I'm your host, Jeff Kanige. My guest today is John Pulomena. He is the county administrator for Middlesex County. John, welcome.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for taking the time to do it. I appreciate you coming on with me. I wanted to speak to you about some of the activity, the development activity going on in the county, particularly in technology, education, healthcare, tech eds and meds.
Right.
Has been a lot going on, as NJBiz readers are certainly aware. Now, you have a background in tech. You have a degree in computer science, if I recall correctly, and you had leadership roles at AT&T Bell Labs. So I'm curious, first of all, how that experience shapes your approach to your current role. What do you bring from what you used to do to what you do now?
Well, when you look at the private sector role that I had specifically with the Bell system and Bell Labs and my 22 years of experience with AT&T, it really highlighted the importance how technology and innovation really drive every aspect of operations of a business.
Okay.
And probably more so today than it did even 20 years ago. There was an opportunity and where in government had a tendency of lagging on using technology as well as having the talent pool to develop new innovative tools to really serve its community of residents and businesses. And so that lag was what really attracted me to move from the private sector into the public sector
Okay.
and to create the collaboration between a public-private partnership because technology drives everything that we do.
Okay. And that's certainly been a priority throughout the state. And I'm guessing in Middlesex County because of what's going on there, as I said at the top, tech eds and meds. Is that sort of the overarching intelligence that you bring to the or that you and your colleagues throughout the county bring to what you're doing now? You're looking for those kinds of innovative companies, those kinds of innovative industries to bring into the county.
Yeah, it is. When you look at our strategic plans, it is a critical component of under the leadership of the Board of Commissioners and the strategic planning team is really to focus on what are those things that we believe is essential to a thriving and economic sustainable community. And it really runs the gamut. And it
Mhm.
really starts with education. So when you
Right.
look at our overall vision, we have to have our educational institutions like Middlesex College, like the magnet schools, to be able to offer the kind of education that builds careers in the future.
Hmm.
And then once you do that, now businesses who may not be in Middlesex County or in the state of New Jersey, one of the things they first look for is a talent pool that helps them then generate a product and also a customer base. So from education to workforce to bringing the right industry in, and then recognizing that same technology and those same relationships and the learnings also apply to how we serve our community, whether it be in social service programs, public safety, whether it be through parks and recreation, whether it be simply through our infrastructure and transportation. All those elements, the underpinning today is really utilizing technology that produces the very best product.
Okay. Well, I mean, you certainly hit upon what I hear most often from folks who are starting businesses or bringing them to New Jersey. Are you confident that Middlesex County is doing the kinds of things necessary to create that talent pool that those companies are looking for? From the outside, it looks like you are because you're getting them to come. But where are you in terms of developing that kind of talent pool and getting that kind of system in place?
Well, within the county operations in the last 10 years, we've taken our technology team, our chief information officer has really created an environment that creates Middlesex County's technology platform
Hmm.
and resources and people, they're best in class. So internally, we built, in my mind, a world-class operation to utilize the very best in technology to run our businesses. In addition, what we've done is because of that relationship we built with the private sector and working with our partners in the private sector. Now you see companies like Nokia who are going to be coming into New Brunswick, making it the home of its operations.
Hmm.
When you look at the healthcare industry, right, and the relationships we've built with them and how we work in a collaborative way to come together during COVID uh, and use technology and the tools, we've demonstrated our ability to transform and translate the needs of our community with how do we bring the right resource and talent pool in. And now when you look at the colleges like Rutgers or Princeton,
Hmm.
County College, all those colleges are aligned with the industries the county is now attracting in.
Okay, and I think you don't see that best in New Brunswick,
Yep.
the county seat. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. First, on the tech and healthcare side, you have Helix and the new cancer hospital. Rutgers and Princeton are both part of what's going on there. Those projects are important for the state and the region. How important are they for the county to have that going on right in the middle of the county seat?
It's about jobs, it's about opportunities, it's about people not only living here, but working here and playing here. By bringing that all together, you're really bringing the ecosystem in place that allows people to flourish in every single one of those avenues.
Okay. All right, and you also there was a development in the cultural, the theater and cultural district with the performing arts center. That's a side that you hear a lot about, particularly in Newark, with anchor institutions like Symphony Hall and the Performing Arts Center. How important is that to what you're trying to do in the county to have that kind of district and those kinds of attractions right in the middle of New Brunswick?
Well, it really lines up with our live, work, and play
Hmm.
in the Middlesex County and the investments we've made. As you know, the State Theater, though it's named the
Right,
State Theater, it's really owned by Middlesex County.
right.
We've made a significant investment in the New Brunswick Performing Arts Center, right? And we believe that the arts and education are key elements in, again, the economic sustainable solutions we're trying to build for Middlesex County and its
Mhm.
residents and its businesses. We took it a step further, as you know, we now own the Heldridge Hotel.
Right.
And that does two things, right? People who then come here to the theater district now can stay, and the experience they have as a destination is enhanced. But it also provides us an opportunity because in the culinary and hospitality programs that we are built into the educational process, both at the college, the magnet school, at Rutgers, it becomes an avenue for students to train, to do internships at the hotel, and also provide job opportunities.
Okay. Now, New Brunswick also has two large organizations that were already there, Johnson and Johnson and Rutgers. I'm curious as to whether they play an active role as anchor institutions in the city and what the county's relationship is with those two institutions.
Absolutely. When you look at Rutgers and the relationship, it's so important to Middlesex County. You know, we now provide avenues for students coming out of Middlesex College in the two-year program and then moving into the Rutgers program to
Okay.
make it more affordable from an education standpoint. In addition, from a recreation standpoint, as you know, at the Middlesex College, we're building a multi-purpose venue where the Rutgers college baseball team will be playing, and hopefully other
Right.
recreational programs that Rutgers has or other schools have. So, in addition, we're creating educational programs that tie both our magnet and our two-year college into Rutgers programs. So it becomes really an institutional program that allows stepping stones for our people who live here and the students that go and are educated here to really have avenues to get into the workforce.
Okay. And a lot of what's been going on is can be traced to Devco and Chris Palladino. I'm curious about what your relationship is with Devco and Chris and how you work together. Is that a good working relationship?
So when you look at the overall approach that the Board of Commissioners and the county leadership has taken on, we recognize that in this world we live in, we can't do it solely as a governmental agency.
Right.
We recognize that in order for us to be successful, our biggest stakeholders, our biggest shareholders are our taxpayers.
Right.
By the way, they're the same people that are served by our healthcare institutions, right? By our businesses that are here. So what we've done is we've built relationships from a healthcare standpoint, from a business standpoint with a company like Devco and Chris Palladino has been a great partner to
Okay.
make sure that as we create the opportunity of attracting businesses in and building out our community, whether it's New Brunswick or Metuchen or Woodbridge or Edison, we look at it holistically. We look at New Brunswick as the hub, but the reality is the collaboration and the partnership between government, between private, between education, between healthcare, all make up really the ingredients that make for a very, very sustainable economic growth in Middlesex County.
Okay. Well, you mentioned the three municipalities I also wanted to talk about, starting with Edison
Yep.
and Woodbridge and Hackensack Meridian Health. Again, another what I would think would have to be considered an anchor institution for the county. They just topped off this week, if I recall correctly, their new center at Metro Park. Again, how is your relationship with HMH? What do you see their role and Bob Garrett, their CEO? Are they active participants in what's going on in the county?
A very critical partner to Middlesex County. So much so when you look at again what we've done from a collaborative standpoint, we recognize that government is not experts in the healthcare industry. And so over the last number of years, we've created partnerships with Hackensack Meridian.
Right.
They now manage our mental health facilities, okay, Lasky Center. Uh, the long-term care facilities are managed by RWJ Barnabas. Why did we do that? Because we recognize the fact that in order to be best in class, if the talent pool doesn't exist within the county operations, that partnership allows our residents to get the very best in service by partnering with these healthcare industry partners. Very,
Hmm.
very critical. And so that partnership is critical, as I said earlier, because we all are serving the same people. It's the
Hmm.
community of residents and businesses. And if we're
Okay.
not aligned in our philosophy of how to do that, I think it really creates a real challenge for the people who want to live, work, and play here.
Right, that development at HMH is doing at Metro Park. I mean that serves the idea is, and I think Bob has said that it's the only sort of healthcare facility at a transit oriented development next to a train station like that. You're serving commuters and you're making it easy. It sounds like. I mean, I think the plan is to make it easy to get there. Is that part of the whole
Abs,
what the whole
abs,
view here?
Absolutely. You want to be able to make sure that there's accessibility of
Hmm.
healthcare to our residents. You know, some of our residents are challenged to be able to get from point A to point B. By bringing it to the community, I think it enhances the healthcare experience for them and ensures that we're providing the very best to our community.
Okay. And you mentioned Middlesex County College earlier. You mentioned the connection to Rutgers and the baseball team, but there's more going on there. So if I don't want to put words in your mouth, what does that mean for what is the county residents going to get out of what's happening there at Middlesex County College?
As you know, the college is a 2-year degree program,
Right.
but we view it as something much more than that. It's really becomes a destination. When you look at its location and the fact that we now are building our second magnet school on the college campus. And why did we do that? We first built this school of math, science, and technology many years ago. We did that because we recognized that when children and teenagers come out of high school, you want them to start the experience of what college is going to be like. What better way to do that than start to create that on a single campus?
Hmm.
It's been so successful. Now we brought the second magnet school, the innovation magnet school, that's going to be built there. In addition, the intent is to build a workforce development building there as well. And why is that important? So it then attracts businesses that can demonstrate their new technologies in one place, in one destination, so that students can understand not only the theory of what they're learning, but the application of how does it get translated into real life experiences, right?
Hmm.
So this campus now becomes a destination, not only for education, not only for workforce, not only recreation, right? It brings all those elements that people come there and in one place. Mainly, when you look at the size of the campus, it's a beautiful campus and the location. It becomes the hub for the old concept of live, work, and play.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, our viewpoint is that it becomes a place where people will recognize that the county is committed to the quality of life that we believe is essential to our community.
Okay, and along those lines, again, Metuchen and Woodbridge, there's been a lot of development bound in downtowns in those areas. Metuchen,
Right.
I think, has won awards for what they've done downtown. What's the
Yes.
county's role in helping those localities try and do the same kinds of things?
Yeah, when you look at just those two, and this applies to all 25 communities in Middlesex County. One of the most important elements of the community, not only is what development they bring in, but the infrastructure, how people move from point to point. The county's big involvement is to make sure the county roadways, the county's transportation mechanism really is best in class to ensure the safety of the residents and how they get throughout Middlesex County.
Hmm.
So the county continues to make millions of dollars investments each year in the infrastructure, roadways, bridges, signalizations, to the tune of about $50 million a year. That benefits all 25 communities.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of all 25 communities, I want to let's go a little off the Northeast corridor for a second. Talk about what's going on in some of the other communities. Start with Perth Amboy, for example. Like if I'm not mistaken, they're also doing some work downtown with Perth Amboy and some of those other 25 communities that are not along that train line. What else on that main Northeast corridor train line? What's been going on there that you can tell us about?
Well, again, the importance relationship that the county has with, say, Perth Amboy or even Carteret,
Hmm.
right? Those are communities that when you look at both from a recreation, from an entertainment standpoint, the investment the county has made in the Performing Arts Center in Carteret
Right.
has been really critical. And
Okay.
again, it's an extension of what's happening in New Brunswick because we
Mhm.
realize we want to build a collaborative solution and approach that provides entertainment and recreation strategies not just at one place, but dispersed throughout the county. So it's ease of accessibility. The same thing in Perth Amboy by enhancing a number of their parks. There's the Perth Amboy Park that we just invested millions of dollars in,
Mhm.
with new walking facilities, football field, baseball fields, all county led, because again, it creates an opportunity for the community to participate from a recreational standpoint. We've
Okay.
also, over the years, built a new magnet school down there. Uh, that's about 10 years, so years ago. But again, the whole concept of education, recreation, infrastructure, as an example.
Okay, well, that again, that gets back to the overarching questions that we talked about at the top.
Yep.
Before I let you go, I'm curious as to what your outlook for the future is and whether you can keep this momentum. I mean, there's a lot of economic uncertainty right now. What are you thinking about as you look for, through the rest of this year and into next year and beyond? What are you anticipating? What are you planning for?
I'd like to take a step back. When you look at the journey the county's been on, uh, starting probably in 2010, right after the last recession that really decimated many municipalities,
Yeah.
county, state, right?
Mhm.
The county made a very concerted effort that we recognize in order for us to build a sustainable solution, we need to make sure our financial house was in order, right? At that point in time, we were over $900 million in debt.
Mhm.
35% of our operating budget went to paying off debt. We had zero retained surplus. So if something happened on a rainy day, we had no money to cover it. We'd have to go out financing it. So the first thing we felt was critical to put a financial underpinning to Middlesex County.
Mhm.
Today, we have over $110 million of retained surplus. Our debt is down to $250 million, and it's only 17% of our operating budget.
Okay.
We spend close to $90 million a year on capital improvements without going and financing a single penny of that. We've built that into our base so that even if the economy turns negative,
Mhm.
built into our operations is the safety net that we can continue the life cycle management of our infrastructure, which is critical to the safety of our residents.
Okay.
It also ensures that we can continue on the existing programs and new programs.
Okay.
And even if there's a bump in the road, through the retained surplus and through the challenge we have, we are able then to be able to pivot more quickly, to adjust, knowing we have that safety net, not a reliance, because we use $0 of surplus to balance our budget every year. That money is there to ensure that if there's an event that takes place, like a COVID or economic downturn, we could take the bump out of the road and provide the continuance of service to our residents. That's essential. So when I look at the future, we are positioned probably better than anybody in the state of New Jersey, I believe. And I say that humbly, and even the state itself, because our financial house is in order, right?
Okay.
And when you have that ability, then our focus is not reactive to what's happening, but where do we need to be 5 years from now? And thus we
Okay.
put in place Destination 2040. That is a roadmap, not for 2040 by itself, but the map that gets us there, that's dynamic, that changes with the fluctuations and what happens in the environment that we're in today. So I believe we're really positioned very well to continue on our strategy of really building a sustainable economic environment in Middlesex County to support not only the county itself, but the state of New Jersey.
Okay. And what do you hear from some of the anchor institutions and some of the other stakeholders in the county? Are they as optimistic as you are that kind of that you've got everything in order and that you can continue along this road?
When you look at the college and look at the magnet school, absolutely. Because when you realize that the county funds a significant part of the magnet school operations and about 25% of the college operations. And by the way, the college enrollment has continued to increase.
Hmm.
And so I believe that, again, knowing that we are one enterprise, Middlesex County consists of not only county operations, it consists of the college, the magnet school, the, the improvement authority, the utility authority. That is part of the county operations. I know we all feel very confident that though we're in a very interesting time when it comes to
Interesting is
the
the word. Yes, that's a good word.
that we are in control of our own destiny
Okay.
and that we're not going to be dictated, but we're going to be the leaders in how we move forward for the best for our community.
Okay, that's a good place to leave it. John Pulomena, County Administrator, Middlesex County, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate you taking the time.
And thanks so much for giving me the opportunity. Thank you very much.
And thank you all for watching. Until next time, stay safe, everyone.